वासुदेवाय नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेष्व भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवत्युत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन्निति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So welcome all of you in today's session. Due to some service pertaining to today's Bhaktivinoda Thakur's celebrations, Bhaktivinoda Thakur's appearance to celebration. So I I couldn't start the class at 9:30. So that's how we are starting now. All right, so we continue this chapter 25 from third canto, The Glories of Devotional Service. And we have seen till text 12. So yesterday in the initial section of this chapter, we heard about how Shonak Muni expressed his eagerness to hear more about Lord Kapila and his activities and especially his teachings. So his eagerness was expressed in the first section of the chapter. And then we saw that how Mother Devahuti, she expressed her humility, dainya, and also her desire to know about the subject matter from Kapila Muni. She remembered the words of Brahmaji, and she remembered that her son will be able to enlighten her and thus bestow upon her the perfection. So that's why, although she is already on the exalted platform, but she asked those questions to Kapila Muni. And in that, the first question is about how she can become free from the influence of material existence. Uh, influence, she wants to understand what is Prakriti, what is Purusha, and how this bondage can be removed. Mm. How she can become free from the material conception, the ignorance. So that was asked by her in text 10 and 11. Text 10 and 11, she asked about this. Sammoham apakrishtum tvamarhasi. Please take away, please remove my sammoha, my bewilderment or delusion that is caused by the ignorance. And then, yes, she also said, Prakrutehe Purushasya Jidnyasaya Aham Namami. I bow down to you and with an inquisitiveness about what is Prakriti, what is Purusha. She wants to understand these things so that she is asking basically the means for deliverance from the material bondage, the means of deliverance from the material existence, mokshopaya or mukti upaya. That is what she is asking. So now Kapila Muni starts answering these questions. All right, so we will follow the same system. 5 verses, one devotee can read the translation, then the next devotee can read. So we can begin with Pandurang Sharan Prabhu. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha योगाध्यात्मिकः पुंसां मतो निःश्रेयसाय मे अत्यन्तोपरतिर्यत्र दुःखस्य च सुखस्य च. Yes, Prabhu.
The
The
personality of
personality,
God. Yes.
Paandurang Sharan, bro.
मैं बोल रहा हूँ ना.
हाँ,
The personality of Godhead answered, the yoga system which relates to the Lord and the individual soul, which is meant for the ultimate benefit of the living entity, and which causes detachment from all happiness and distress in the material world, is the highest yoga system.
yeah, thank you. Huh? So Shri Bhagavan Uvacha, Kapila Muni spoke. So he spoke that, okay, you are asking the question about Nishreyasa, Nishreyasaya. Nishreyasa means what? Uh, you can see the ultimate benefit. Basically, Nishreyasa refers to the liberation, freedom from the material existence. So sometimes moksha like Sayujya is also considered to be Nishreyasa. Although we understand that highest Nishreyasa, in fact, the word Nishreyasa itself means highest. Shreyas is the ultimate benefit or longer benefit, you could say. Nishreyas is Nisheshreyana, Nisheshena Shreyas, a completely highest benefit or the ultimate benefit. So usually this word is used for mukti or prema bhakti. For such purposes, this is used. So Kapila Muni is saying here that, see, what is my opinion? That pumsam nishreyasaya, for the sake of the deliverance of all the living entities from material existence. So what is the best path? Adhyatmikaha yoga. The path of yoga is the best, he says. And that yoga is Adhyatmikaha yoga. That yoga is not some aspect of mundane yoga or like that. He's saying the Adhyatmika yoga. So that refers to actually the transcendental system. When you say Adhyatmika yoga, the word yoga can also refer to karma kand, right? It's possible. Sakam karma yoga, the word has been used in Shastras as uh, it's used for karma kand. Or Nishkam karma yoga, that's also sometimes yoga can mean Nishkam karma yoga also, right? So here he is not talking even about Nishkam karma yoga. Adhyatmikaha yoga, the transcendental yoga. So by that, what he means is the paths like jnana, yoga, and bhakti. So this is my opinion, my dear mother, that for the ultimate benefit for the people, for the living entities, Adhyatmic yoga, that's the means, he is saying. So what is the qualification of that Adhyatmic yoga? What are further qualifiers? So he says, where yatra, where there is atyanta uparati, where there is complete stoppage. Uparati, uparati literally means stoppage actually. So there is complete stoppage of dukkhasya cha, sukhasya cha. There is no material happiness on that path, and there is no material misery also. There is complete, uh, complete destruction of all material happiness or material misery also. So interestingly, dukkhasya uparati is fine, that where there is destruction of all the material misery, but it is also saying sukhasya uparati. It is also saying that there is complete stoppage of material happiness also. So that proves that this is a path which is not some mundane path of yoga, but it is transcendental path of yoga, adhyatmika yoga. So you can see Vishwanath Chakravarti says that this yoga is of three types here. You can see here. See, first of all, I'm showing you the Tika file for just the so that the original words are heard and understood. Adhyatmikaha, what's the meaning of that? He says, Jivatmanishtha yoga. Uh, Jivatmanishtha yoga. What does it mean? That it is a path basically which is meant for Jivatmas, and it is a path for deliverance of the soul and not deliverance of the body. Uh, it's the path which is actually benefiting the soul. Uh, so, what is that upaya? What is that yoga which is working for Nishreyasartham? It is going to bestow the benefit of freedom from material existence. So he says, such a that upaya, that means is bhakti, jnanam, yoga. Iti trividho vaktavya. uh, we should understand that that yoga, which means that means of deliverance, it should be understood as threefold. So what is that? So one is the path of bhakti, another is the path of jnana, third is the path of yoga. This way. So all these three paths are actually being presented as means of deliverance. Of course, we know that without bhakti, jnana, and yoga cannot achieve the freedom from material existence. They cannot bestow that. But the point is, these three are considered different paths because of the different processes, sadhana, and also different goals. Uh, In these paths, we see that there are different goals and different sadhanas. So that's why Trividho, this yoga that he is speaking is actually threefold. He's speaking about bhakti, jnana, and yoga, all three paths over here. Uh, so in that he says bhakti pakshe, in the path of bhakti, nishreyasam, that is the freedom from material existence, on the path of bhakti is ananusamhitam phalam. So remember this word, ananusamhitam. Anusamhitam, ananusamhitam. So what does this mean? Anusamhitam means the desired goal, and ananusamhitam means the goal that is not desired. It is a concomitant result. So he says, if you take path of bhakti, the freedom from material existence, nishreyasa, is what? It is an unsought result. It is an unsought result. It is a concomitant result. It is not the desired goal. Freedom from material existence is a secondary fruit of bhakti. So what's the primary fruit? The primary fruit is the prema, love of Godhead. You understand? So that's why Ananu Samhitam. So although all three paths I am describing for Nishreyasaya, that they work for the deliverance of material, deliverance from material existence, but he says that in that we have to understand on path of bhakti that freedom of material existence is not even sought after. It is unsought result. It is concomitant result, secondary fruit. uh, while on the path of jnana and yoga, it is the sought result. Uh, That's what they aspire for, the moksha, uh, this way. So this is the point. Hmm? Yoge sati sansarikasya dukhasya sukhasya cha unmulana. And because this is transcendental yoga, so he says that this uproots actually unmulanam, uproots the material as well as, I mean, material happiness as well as material misery. There is uprooting of that aspect. Uh, So we see that uh, even if a devotee or a path of jnana or yoga may bring some aspect of happiness in it, but that happiness is not considered to be the happiness which is material. Uh, on those paths, it is considered to be the happiness which is coming as a result of their practice of bhakti, uh, or their practice of those particular paths like yoga and jnana. Uh, especially on the perfection level where somebody achieves the perfections of these paths. Uh, so we see that the happiness that is there in that particular practitioner's life, it is not considered the happiness because of his own karma or anything. It is considered happiness which has been brought up by that own process, uh, like that. So same way with misery also. If the process of bhakti brings up a misery, so it is not actually a material misery. It is a misery which is brought up by the process of bhakti. So how can process of bhakti bring misery? Why would it bring misery? So Vishwanath Chakravarti says, Jiva Goswami also says that oftentimes that misery is brought up so that we take up the process of bhakti more seriously. Utkantha vardhanartham, he says. Prema vardhanartham, utkantha vardhanartham, or dainya vardhanartham also. To bring up the humility, Krishna gives some misery. Uh, so the aspect of especially this happiness and misery in a devotee's life, especially when the devotee has already achieved perfection. Perfection, by that we mean prema, when it is a process of bhakti. By yoga and jnana, by perfection, we mean jivan mukti, the stage where they have become completely freed from all attachments to material body, mind, senses, whatever, material enjoyment. So in such cases, whatever happiness and misery that is coming, those are considered to be the effects of the transcendental processes, not the material happiness and material misery. That's why sukhasya cha dukkhasya cha uparati. On these paths, we see that there is complete cessation, complete uprooting of the happiness which is caused by uh, material aspects of karma and all that. So that's the path, and it is threefold. So he will explain about these threefold paths in this particular section. Prabhupada. Prabhupada says in the material world, uh, everybody is trying for material happiness, but along with material happiness, there is also misery. That's the part of package, right? Uh, any kind of happiness one has in material world is contaminated by distress also. Hmm. It's just it's just the combination. That's how it is. There is no pure material pleasure, and there is no pure material misery also. Uh, It is always coupled with it. Just like modes also in material world, there is never pure goodness in material world. Uh, it Material mode of goodness means there will always be the passion and ignorance. It will always be like that only. You cannot separate. Once the cycle of creation is set, Lord by Kala, when he sets up the creational cycle, then you can never ever get the mode separated in any way. So that's why when the happiness, which is typically coming from mode of goodness or like that is coming, it will always have the aspect of passion and ignorance in it. Uh, So that's why the happiness can never be pure happiness in the material world. It will always have the aspect of misery in it also, uh, in that particular manner. So there is nothing called as pure goodness on the material platform. Uh, Never. Uh, Only on the spiritual platform, there is pure goodness, which is called Vishuddha Sattva. Uh, So you cannot separate material mode of goodness from passion and ignorance. At the material level, it is impossible. Uh, It is only possible spiritually, meaning there is the spiritual mode of goodness, which is called as Vishuddha Sattva. Uh, This way. So that's why happiness and distress, they will always be together. They can never be separated. Like Prabhupada says, if we want to drink milk, then we have to maintain a cow. Uh, So somebody may say, well, I don't have to maintain a cow. I will purchase the milk. Then you have to purchase, you have to give the money this way. Or even if somebody is giving it free or like that, so still we see that how much milk can one have, uh, how much milk one can drink, the senses, their capacity itself. First of all, procuring the resources is a big misery in this world, right? If one has to enjoy his senses, then it's not that easy. But even if culturally it becomes very easy, still there is limitation of the mind and senses. And the mind has unlimited desire to enjoy, while senses have a limited capacity. Uh, so there is trouble. The yoga system, as stated here by the Lord, is meant to end all material happiness and material distress. So it is a cessation of all material happiness and material distress. So now that the best yoga is obviously bhakti yoga, that way. So bhakti yoga, it is uh, it is so powerful that even in other paths, by presence of bhakti, those paths become capable enough to produce their result. And bhakti, without presence of those other paths, uh, can independently give result of any path actually. So you have studied this. This is what is called as Anvay Vyatirekabhyam Yat Syat Sarvatra Sarvada. Bhakti is glorified like this. Etavadeva Jidnyasyam Tattva Jidnyasunatmana Anvay Vyatirekabhyam Yat Syat Sarvatra Sarvada. Fourth shloka of Chatushloki. Anvaya Vyatirekabhyam. Anvaya means bhakti can give the results of all the paths. If somebody is approaching bhakti, he can achieve the goal of Nishkam Karma Yoga. He can achieve goal of Sakam Karma Yoga, Karma Kand, like heavens. He can achieve the goal of Nishkam Karma Yoga, that is Jnana. He can achieve the goal of Jnana, that is Moksha. He can achieve the goal of Yoga, that is Paramatma realization. And he can achieve the goal of Bhakti also, which is Prema Bhakti. So that's called Anvay. And not only bhakti can achieve all the goals of all other paths, there is also that bhakti, when it is mixed with other paths, then only those other paths can give the goal. So that is shown by Vyatireka. Vyatireka means if you don't mix bhakti in path of jnana, then jnana cannot give Brahman realization. If you don't mix bhakti in yoga, then yoga cannot give you Paramatma realization. If you don't mix bhakti on the path of Nishkam Karma Yoga or on the path of even Sakam Karma Kand, so we see that it becomes very difficult to attain the goal of those paths. Not difficult, it becomes impossible to attain the goals of those paths. So that's how Bhakti Yoga is only the topmost process. Uh, Bhakti Yoga is only glorified as that path which gives Nishreyasa. Why? Because if you don't mix it, at least at sadhana level, then you just cannot achieve the goal of your own path. Uh, so then, what is that critical factor that is giving Nishreyas actually? Uh, that is bhakti only. Uh, so this is why bhakti we see is glorified here in all these sections in terms of comparison also with other paths this way. So that's how Bhagavan is beginning by saying, first of all, that yes, you ask me for the means of deliverance. So that is Adhyatmika Yoga and Trividha. It is of three types or threefold system of Karma Jnana and not Karma Jnana, Jnana Yoga and Bhakti this way. So that's how Kapila answers. So Kapila himself quotes the authorities also, although he is Supreme Lord, he doesn't have to quote the authority, but he quotes that this is the system that I have even before spoken to the sages, and the sages have propagated this. Uh, so tamimam te pravakshami yamavocham puranaghe Rishinam Shrotu Kamanam Yogam Sarvanga Naipunam. Just proof.
O
Yes,
most pious
Panduranjan.
mother, I shall now explain unto you the ancient yoga system, which I explained formerly to the great sages. It is serviceable and practical in every way.
Yeah. So I speak to you now that yoga which avocham puranaghe, which I spoke to the sages who were very eager to hear. Uh, Rishinam Shrotukamanam. I spoke to this to the sages like Narad Muni and all. So that same yoga, and by that yoga again, you always take the meaning to mean jnana, yoga, and bhakti. Yoga in the sense of threefold yoga. Uh, so I will speak that to you. That yoga, which is Sarvanga Naipunam. Uh, this yoga is very. It's it. I will speak this yoga along with all the limbs of the yoga, uh, and how these limbs are actually very, very practical limbs. They are very expert limbs by which the person can practice and achieve perfection. So yogam sarvanga naipunam, uh, or this yogam sarvanga naipunam can refer to bhakti yoga, because bhakti yoga's limbs are considered to be serviceable and practical. So that meaning also can be taken, that especially he is saying that I will especially speak to you about bhakti yoga. Uh, So both the meanings are there. You can take this yoga meaning threefold yoga, and along with all the limbs of those yoga systems and all, or it can mean bhakti as sarvanga naipunam, like Prabhupada takes that meaning typically wherever bhakti is to be glorified. So it is serviceable and practical. Prabhupada has used the words. It is serviceable and practical, because what is the use of yoga which is not useful, which is not practical, right? The limbs of those yogas, if they are not very proper, then how is one going to practice? So that's why he is saying that these are practical methods by which one can achieve the perfection. So I'll speak about this. Prabhupada takes the meaning to mean that bhakti is actually the best yoga. When we have a super excellent process already present in Vedic scriptures, there is no need to concoct a new system to mislead the innocent public. So especially because Lord is quoting the authority, so that's why Prabhupada also is quoting the authority. Prabhupada is saying that, you see, this is an ancient yoga system. It's not some concocted new yoga, right? In today's day and time, it has become a fashion to come up with one's own version of yoga, mm, right? In fact, they joke in the yoga circles, traditional yoga circles, is that they say that what is going on in today's world is not yoga, but yoga. So as soon as yoga became yoga, you know that it is something else only. It is not the traditional system of yoga. huh? That English version of the word yoga, which is yoga. Uh, so oftentimes we see that these understandings from Vedic scriptures are taken, but so many Western people who took the yoga aspect, or in fact, even Indian people who took the yoga aspect, and then they concocted their own system and called it with so many different names this way. So that continues even today, right? So Prabhupada was very critical of, the speculating in the name of yoga, mixing one's own ideas or like that, right? Like today they don't have doga, they don't have yoga, they have doga, right? You know this yoga with dog is called doga. So that's also old, but yeah, I mean, uh, they say we are practicing doga. So by practicing yoga with your own dog, so it seems there is a lot of positive energy that they receive, and that's why they speak about doga. Or similarly, there are a lot of other ideas in yoga. In yoga, what should be the dharanashraya? That's the most important point. See, another of aspect is when you have Ashtanga yoga, which is eight-limbed yoga, you split it into only first four limbs, and then call it as Hatha yoga without so much bothering about the next four limbs. So, so if too much, I mean, if that Hatha yoga is only being practiced without going further for Pratyahar Dhyana, Pratyahar Dharana Dhyana Samadhi, so then it's a concocted system completely. So it is not Ashtanga then. It is Chaturanga yoga, four limbs only. Uh, or another concoction is what is your dharanashraya? Uh, in yoga process, the dharana, the meditation is done on a specific object. And what is that object of meditation? That is Bhagavan Vishnu. That is the Kshirodakshai Vishnu, or sometimes even Garbhodakshai Vishnu. Basically, Lord is the Paramatma is the Dharanashraya. So now in modern systems of yoga, you can have any dharanashraya. You can meditate on the person who is your favorite person, your favorite actor or actress, or your dog, or candle, or moon, or whatever. Uh, So you see this dharanashraya, which is Paramatma Rupa, being replaced by any other Rupa. So instead of achieving dharana, which is focus, the person may be more agitated actually, right? Uh, if you are allowed to meditate on anything, then how will it, purify the heart? How will it draw all the attention on thing, on that particular thing? So, all this meditation on candle and all, these are all bogus, completely bogus versions of yoga. So even Patanjali does not approve such dharnashraya. What to speak of Bhagavatam, what to speak of Kapila Muni and all. So, but we see that this is all is happening. So that's why Prabhupada is speaking. When we have a super excellent process, why we have to concoct a new system? It has to be understood in that particular way. So take that take that same idea about bhakti and jnana also. Instead of understanding jnana in its proper Vedic context, they have their own idea of what is jnana. That's how you see every single Advaitavadi comes up with his own philosophy. Uh, and this is happening from olden times. Drishti Srishtivad, uh, Ekajivavad, Vivartavad, hmm, uh, Bimba Pratibimbavad, Apachedavad. I mean, so many versions of Mayavad or Advaitavad. And same way it continues. Okay. Same way it continues today also. Always there is some concoction that is put over there. But this is not how Vaishnavas do, right? You see the Vaishnavas, their consistency of Siddhanta, that remains like that. And same way with Bhakti also. Bhakti also in today's day and time. So much of concoction in Bhakti also, right? Where people feel like you can perform Bhakti to any demigod, Ganesh Bhakti or Shiva Bhakti. What to speak of other ideas like Desha Bhakti and all such things, Samaj Bhakti, Desh Bhakti, and all that. Also within Bhakti process itself, uh, uh, there is no need of any practical practice, and you can just have that bhava or something, all such ideas like that. So that's why Prabhupada is speaking this. Okay. So first, what Kapila Muni does is he, first of all, gives a common denominator in all the yoga process, which is the control of the mind. Uh, the mind has to be controlled and should be engaged on the transcendental on meditation on the transcendental object. So that's why he first establishes the basic premise in the yoga, which is that there is this mind which is the cause of bondage, and that same mind can become the cause of freedom from the bondage. So that's why uh, any yoga process focuses on basically engaging the mind and absorbing it in the transcendental subject matter. So that's how he begins. And yes, so that's text 15. Chetah khalvasya bandhaya muktaye chatmano matam guneshu saktam bandhaya ratam va pumsi muktaye.
The stage in which the consciousness of the living entity is attracted by the three modes of material nature is called conditional life. But when that same consciousness is attached to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one is situated in the consciousness of liberation.
Yeah. So chetah khalu asya bandhaya. Chetah is the root word here. So that is translated as consciousness by Prabhupada. So chetah, you can see, khalu manah eva, Vishwanath Chakravarti says, mana eva badnati mochayati. The mind only, it is the cause of bondage, or it is the cause of freedom by the attachment to bad things or the attachment to good things, meaning attachment to transcendental things. So whether consciousness or whether mind, sometimes these words are used in a sense which is synonymous. So you should understand it is basically antakaran. Antakaran, which has four parts in it. There is mind, there is intelligence, there is ego, and there is the chitta. So all four are considered to be the subtle body, the internal senses, you could say, antakaran, and the internal body. So these words can be sometimes interchangeably used. So that's why mana, mana eva manushyanam karanam bandha mokshayo. And here it is being said as chetaha, which also means mind, or which can also be translated as consciousness. In that case, it is referring to chitta, that way. So all these words, no, you can understand, basically they are referring to that antakaran, depending on the functionality. See, when we talk about the mind should be purified, so what do we mean? The intelligence is not to be purified? No, that is also to be purified. The ego is to be purified or not? Yes, that is also is to be purified. And chitta is to be purified or not? Yes, that is also to be purified. So that's why these words, when they are used, no, you can understand it's usually refers to the antakaran, the aspect of the subtle body inside, where the mind has one functionality there, the functionality called as sankalpa, vikalpa, acceptation, rejection. I want this, I don't want this. Buddhi has the aspect of justifying the mind's demands or not justifying the mind's demands. And then similarly, if we talk about the aspect of ego, so ego is that binding factor actually. It's the original avidya, it's the ignorance because of which we see the aspect of ego, meaning the whole binding happens. And then chitta is the contaminated consciousness. Chitta is the consciousness that is trapped in the material matters. So all these factors, they are to be purified. All these functionalities of that subtle body are to be purified. So that's why chetah khalvasya bandhaya, for the bondage, the mind is the cause. And muktaye cha atmanah matam, and for the liberation also, the mind is the cause, or the consciousness is the cause. How is that? Guneshu saktam bandhaya. If the mind is attached to the three modes or the objects of the three modes. Being attached to three modes means what? Being attached to the sense objects which are produced in this material world. Sense objects which are produced in three modes. There are Rajasic sense objects, Tamasic sense objects, Sattvic sense objects. That is, otherwise you don't see gunas, no? Somebody may say, what is being attached to the modes? Being attached to the modes means being attached to the objects which are in the modes. Guneshu means Vishayeshu, the sense objects which are in different modes. Otherwise, you don't see modes, no? And same way, Ratam va Pumsi Muktaye. And same mind, when it becomes Pumsi Rataha, when it develops the Rati for the Parameshwara, when it develops the love for the Supreme Lord, Rata here, Vishwanath Chakravarti and Jiva Goswami, they have used for Rati. रति रथ मतलब कौन है? जिसके पास रति है वो रथ है. So Pumsi Ratam, Pumsi here refers to Parameshwar or the Supreme Lord. So if that same mind becomes, develops love of Godhead, develops Bhava, Rati usually refers to the stage of Bhava, then we see that the liberation will happen. Then we see that such a person will develop the, he will develop the Jivan Mukta stage in this way. So that's why it's very important that the mind should be purified. The mind should, that's like basically what is being said is more important than the senses. The mind has to be conquered. Sometimes one may just do some practical following of yoga path or like that. But if the mind is not controlled, if that subtle body, the subtle aspects of mind and consciousness, if they are not conquered, then one's yoga is not fruitful. It is a failure on the path of yoga. So that's why he is first of all putting that fundamental premise, whether it is jnana, yoga, or bhakti. Aham mamaabhimanotthai kamalobhaadhibirmalai vitam yada manah shuddham adukham asukham samam.
When one is completely cleansed of the impurities of lust and greed produced from the false identification of the body as I and bodily possessions as mine, one's mind becomes purified. In that pure state, he transcends the stage of so-called material happiness and distress.
Yeah. So he says that these verses 15, 16, 17, he basically up to 18 actually. These four verses, first of all, having given the basic premise of yoga, now in these three verses, he speaks about how on the path of yoga or jnana, uh, so what happens exactly when we say that there is a complete cessation of material happiness and distress? So what happens? So he says that uh, aham mama abhimanotthyayi kamalobhadhivir malai. See, there is ahankar and there is mamakar. There is this conception that I am the body, I am not the soul, I am the body. And then mamakar is the things pertaining to body, body, my senses, my bank balance, my wife, my children, my property, and everything. So because of that, we see that there is so much of lust, so much of greed, and all these other contaminations. So when the mind becomes vitam, when the mind becomes free from that, free from this complete contamination, so then it's considered to be shuddha, pure. In that state, there is a dukkham, there is no material misery, and there is a sukham. It's a very samam, it's a mind which is very there is equanimity, equanimous. So what do you mean by this contamination is gone away? So basically it means that one has destroyed the ignorance, because you know these 5 stages of bondage. or 5 factors of bondage. There is avidya, asmita, raga, dvesha, and abhinivesh. Uh, So avidya is the fundamental lack of knowledge that I am spirit, soul, and servant of Krishna. Uh, So this lack is called as avidya. This knowledge is only not there, that I am servant of Krishna. I am a spirit soul. Uh, so this knowledge, because of whatever, because of forgetfulness or because of anadi avidya, beginningless ignorance, whatever is the conception, but basically that avidya is there. Uh, so because of that avidya, then there is asmita, and that's the second. Asmita means you take on a wrong identity uh, because you have forgotten your original identity. You are not aware of the original identity. So then there is the artificial identity that one takes up, which is called asmita. That one may think that I am man, I am woman, I am this, I am that, uh, I am king of the world, I am president, this, that. So that sort of identification is asmita. So because of that, then naturally, some things which we think favorable, we develop attachment for them. These are the people who are favorable to me. These are the things that I like. These are things which I want to possess. Rag. Then there are some people whom we think unfavorable. We think these are the unfavorable people, circumstances, things, scenarios. That is dvesha. And caught up into this, mesh, this network of illusion, one becomes completely uh, overcome by all material stimuli, uh, just suffering the material existence. That's called abhinivesh. uh. So this entire aspect, uh, these are known as functions of ignorance. uh. These are ajnana vritti or avidya vritti. uh. So this, when our mind becomes freed from this avidya vritti, that's the point that he's making. Uh, by ahankar, mamakar, kama, lobha, he means these 5 stages. Uh, so when the mind becomes free from this, then that mind is considered to be pure, Shuddha, and the ignorance is gone. One has established himself in that identity that actually I am the servant of Supreme Lord. And not one has just like a sadhana level, I mean, I'm not talking about sadhana level, but the level where one has practically realized one has become Jivan Mukta. Uh, the stage of Jivan Mukta for Jnana, Yoga, and for Bhakta differs, uh, depends upon the identity. When a Jnani completely realizes that he is not the body, he is the spirit soul, he is living on that platform, then it is called Jivan Mukta stage for a Jnani. And for a Bhakta, it is actually when he thinks that and he realizes that I am servant of Krishna. So he is established in that identity without any attraction for material sense objects. All the material attachments are destroyed, and one has completely realized one's Swarupa, which is being servant of Krishna. Then it's called Jivan Mukta, such a person. So for yoga and jnana, the identification is only in terms of I am the spirit soul. But for bhakta, the identification is I am Krishna Das. I am servant of whatever Krishna Das or Ramadas, Vishnu Das, and depends upon the kind of bhakti that one takes up. So that stage is called as Manaha Shuddham, and there is cessation of all dukkha and sukha. Uh, we see that it stops completely. Uh, Prabhupada, calm and lobha are the symptoms of material existence. It is said here that desire and greed are the products of false identification of oneself with the body. When one becomes free from this contamination, then his mind and consciousness also become freed. So you can see here he uses the word mind and consciousness. this way. In the beginning, Lord Kapila has said that perfect yoga enables one to transcend the platform of material distress and happiness. How this can be done is explained here. One has to purify his mind and consciousness. How it is done? Bhakti yoga system. Tatparatvena nirmalam sarvopadhi vinirmuktam tatparatvena. So the best process for that is Bhakti yoga only, right? So Prabhupada is saying that's why one has to take up to the Bhakti yoga's process. One's senses must be engaged in devotional service of the Lord. That is the process. This way. So when this stage is achieved, where the mind has become completely freed from all the five functions of ignorance, kama, krodha, lobha, moha, it's all gone. So how does the soul perceive himself is written here. Tada purusha atmanam kevalam prakrite param nirantaram swayam jyotir animanam akhanditam. Yes,
At
Prabhu.
that time, the soul can see himself to be transcendental to material existence and always self effulgent, never fragmented, although very minute in size.
Yeah. So at that time, the Purusha, the living entity, he sees Atmanam, he sees himself, he sees uh, his own soul as Kevalam Prakrutehe Param. It sees as Kevalam. So Kevalam means what? It sees himself as pure. You can see Kevalam. Uh, just a minute. Vishwas Chakravarti explains how, or Jiva Goswami also explains what that Kevalam means. So he says that that time, that Jiva, he understands that he is completely pure. There is no relation to the body. Uh, uh, he is completely pure. He does not have anything to do with the body. Prakritehe param, he is transcendental to the Prakriti. Then Nirantaram. What is Nirantaram? So he says, Dehadvaya Vyavadhana Shunyam. Uh, he understands that Nirantaram means actually he is non-different than the Supreme Lord. In the sense of what? In the sense of uh, Dehadvaya Shunyam. He does not have a subtle body or a gross body. The real identity is only the transcendental soul. Uh, he sees himself as that's his actual identity, not gross body, no subtle body, or this way. Uh, Swayam Jyotihi, he sees that such a person sees that Anavrita Prakasham, Vishwan Chakravarti says, Anavrita Prakasham means he sees himself as free from ignorance, like somebody who is in the sun. Uh, one sees himself as free from ignorance. And finally, Animanam, he sees himself as the subtlest, Sukshmam. So you can see that he does not see himself as Vibhu, but as Animanam, which means as the smallest, as the most subtle. And in that also the smallest, that's the meaning of Animanam. Uh, how does proper translate? Infinitesimal, yeah, the same meaning. Anu, अणु से ही अनिमानम होता है तो he sees himself as I am actually अणु I am not vibhu अखंडितम अखंडितम means he sees himself to be विषय वासना भी अखंडितम he sees himself free from all the विषय vasanas and all not disturbed by all these desires for sense objects and all so in that way So this is the stage of Jivan Mukta actually, where we can see that whether it is Jnani or Yogi or Bhakta, depending on that, he will see himself as a spirit soul, or he will see himself as servant of Krishna, but certainly transcendental to Prakriti, certainly free from gross and subtle body, certainly free from all ignorance, Uh, Also, animanam, he sees himself as the smallest being, the subtlest and smallest being, and finally akhanditam, that he is not disturbed by any of the Vishay vasanas or like that. Or it can also mean non-fragmented, which means that he is he's free from that aspect of subtle and gross body in that way. So Prabhupada speaks about Mayavad philosophy. Mayavad philosophy enunciates that the whole spirit exists, but a part of it, which is called Jiva, is entrapped by illusion. Uh, So they say that the Jiva is part of the whole, but Jiva here is being spoken as Akhanditam or Nirantaram. So such words, they don't go well with the Mayavad philosophy. Anyway, they consider all these attributes only at the level of Vyavaharik, only at the level of conditioned state. They also don't accept these aspects at the level of highest truth. So that's how they see also. But anyhow, Prabhupada is still pointing out the fallacy in them by showing these words. Animanam means infinitesimal. Uh, Nirantaram means of the same quality like the Lord, uh, completely transcendental. So the Jivas see themselves as infinitesimal, but still non-fragmented, akhanditam, uh, constitutionally always infinitesimal. So all these characteristics like Mamevam Sho Jiva Loke, Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. And so even if a jnani is there, he does not consider himself to be like, you can say, the greatest or something. Uh, he understands that he is an individual spirit soul. It's just that he does not want to think about the supreme spirit soul. He just wants to be part of that unity, that oneness. Uh, he just wants to be, he thinks that I am spirit soul, I am transcendental, and I just want to be part of that transcendental unity, that same transcendental substance which is everywhere in that manner. Uh, Otherwise, if the Mayavadis have misconceptions, the they cannot achieve the level of Brahman realization. Okay, one more verse and I will pause for questions. So this sort of accomplishment is done by Bhakti Yoga process only, coupled with Jnana and Yoga. That idea is spoken in the last verse. That how this realization can be achieved only by process of Bhakti Yoga, mixing it with Jnana or Yoga, then you can achieve such a realization. Jnana Vairagya Yuktena, Bhakti Yuktena Chatmana, Paripashyatyudasinam, Prakritim cha hataujasam. Yes,
In
Prabhupada.
that position of self-realization, by practice of knowledge and renunciation in devotional service, one sees everything in the right perspective. He becomes indifferent to material existence, and material influence acts less powerfully upon him.
Yeah, so this is how such a person then he sees paripashyati, paripashyati. Uh, so what does it mean? He sees himself. Uh, it is no longer just a practice level. It is a level where one can directly perceive himself as the spirit soul or as the servant of Krishna. Uh, so how is this stage achieved? It is achieved by practicing jnana, vairagya, uh, but most importantly, bhakti yuktena chatmana. So one is able to see himself as the spirit soul. He's not only see himself as spirit soul, he is also able to uh, understand the other aspects, realize the other aspects of prakriti, uh, and how this prakriti hataujasam, that she does not have any control on him now. Hataujasam means she is powerless. Uh, So he sees himself as udasinam. He sees himself as indifferent to Prakriti, and he sees Prakriti as powerless to cause any harm to him. Uh, So this is the stage of perfection. We see that this is accomplished by jnana, vairagya, and bhakti especially. So on the path of jnana, naturally there is jnana, vairagya is also there, but the bhakti has to be there. This is important. Similarly, on the path of bhakti, bhakti has its own jnana and vairagya, right? So anyway, jnana and vairagya are considered sons of bhakti. So wherever bhakti is there, jnana and vairagya will be there only. But jnana and vairagya, those who practice paths of jnana and yoga, they have to make sure that the bhakti aspect is there. Otherwise, they will not be able to achieve this goal. If they practice shushka jnana, dry knowledge, and shushka vairagya, dry renunciation, uh, then it will not be bhakti yuktena, no? So then paripashyati, that one sees himself, that will not happen. It's not possible. Uh, That's why this is a mandatory condition that he has put. Jnana vairagya yuktena bhakti yuktena chatmana. Mm. So one sees by one's mind and yes, the internal senses, that one realizes that one is not the body, one is not the mind, but one is actually the transcendental spirit soul. So this is the aspect. Prabhupada, self-realization is the position of the liberated state. One understands his constitutional position by knowledge and vairagya. Without knowledge, one cannot have realization. So all these three factors, Prabhupada is saying, are very, very important this way. The realization that one is the infinitesimal part and parcel of the Supreme Spirit makes him unattached to material conditioned life. That's the beginning of devotional service. So, of course, devotional service platform is very high because devotional service begins at the level where one is actually on the level of uh, freedom from all the modes. It's the path of bhakti is nirguna path. So real devotional service actually begins at the level of when one transcends the three modes, or when one is liberated, then the actual bhakti process begins. But before that, we know that it is sadhana bhakti, on the level of sadhana bhakti, this way. So anyhow, the point here is that there is this focus of bhakti, jnana, and vairagya, this way. Paripashyati means he can see everything in its right perspective, this way. The influence of material nature becomes almost nil. Person becomes free from the influence of material nature. One becomes free from any attachment to mind and senses and everything. The point is the material body is still there. So material body will take its course, right? Like even if somebody becomes Jivan Mukta, the body, the constituent of body is material, no? So that's why what happens is that body will dwindle, it will disintegrate, it will fall apart. But within that body, the soul has become completely free. We see that. Rup Goswami gives the example of a coconut. Uh, Iha, what is that? Nikhila
Yeah,
Sopi
yes,
Avasthasu.
yeah, yes, Hare Dasya.
इहा यस्य हरेर्दास्ये कर्मणा मनसा गिरा निखिलासु अपि अवस्थासु जीवन मुक्त स उच्यते. So जीवन मुक्त स उच्यते, that person is called जीवन मुक्त, who in nikhilasu api avasthasu, in all the stages of the life, what is happening is the only desire is to serve the Supreme Lord. Hare dasye iha. Iha meaning the desire. So at that point, there is absolutely no desire of any sort. There is complete freedom from attachment. But the body itself, the upadan, the constituent is there, no? So that obviously has its effect. So that's why when you see a pure devotee or some Atmaram sage, and even such person's body is dwindling, falling apart. So we don't have to think that they are under the influence of material nature. No. What has happened is the shell is there of the coconut, but the inside inside content, the cobra that has become completely detached from the shell. So that's the Jivan Mukta state actually. Uh, so the body just takes its course of action and falls apart in some time, but the person has already become free from the influence. Uh, so this is what is the Jivan Mukta state. And we see that this can be best accomplished by mixing even the jnana and yoga process by bhakti process. Otherwise, we don't see that these processes can give their benefit. So that's why he concludes this section by saying that bhakti is the highest path. So we'll see this verse. Na yujyamana ya bhaktya bhagavatyakhil sadrishosti shiva pantha yoginam brahma siddhaye. Yes, Prabhu, last verse you can read.
Perfection in self-realization cannot be attained by any kind of yogi unless he engages in devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For that is the only auspicious path.
Yeah, so you can see, na yujyamana ya bhaktya, na bhaktya sadrisho asti shiva pantha. Pantha means the path, Shiva means the auspicious, sadrisha means like. There is no path like the path of bhakti. If you are considered the auspiciousness for anyone, yoginam brahma siddhaye, you can see, योगियों के लिए ब्रह्म सिद्धि के लिए भी भक्ति जैसा कोई मंगलमय पाथ नहीं है, पंथ नहीं है, ऐसा बोल दिया है इधर सीधा सीधा. So you may say, oh, for bhaktas achieving love of Godhead, there is no greater path than the path of bhakti. No, he is saying Brahma Siddhaya. Even if the yogis, they want Brahma Siddhi, the jnanis want Brahma Siddhi, or the yogis want Paramatma Siddhi, and the bhaktas want Bhagavan Siddhi or Prema Siddhi, there is no greater path than the path of bhakti. That bhakti which is performed towards Bhagavan, Bhagavati Akhilatmani, this way. So fine, Jnani may want Brahman, Yogi may want Paramatma, and Bhakta may want Bhagavan. But in any case, for all this Brahma Siddhi, that Brahma Siddhi word can be used in the common understanding for all three paths. Brahma Siddhi for Brahmavadi would mean Sayujya. Brahma Siddhi for Yogi would mean attaining the realization of Paramatma. And Brahma Siddhi for a Bhakta means the love of Godhead. So he says that there is no greater path than the path of Bhakti. Yujyamana ya Bhaktya, that Bhakti which connects us to the Supreme Lord, that's the best path. That knowledge and realization, the knowledge and renunciation are never perfect unless joined by devotional service is explicitly explained here. So you can see now, you get the context. Knowledge, renunciation, and everything. Without bhakti, it will not become auspicious. It will become inauspicious in the sense that it will not give the desired goal this way. So that's why this bhakti should be understood. In the beginning, the second chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, it is stated that one, when engages himself in devotional service, spiritual knowledge and renunciation of the material world automatically become manifest. Thus, a devotee does not have to try separately for renunciation and knowledge. Devotional service itself is so powerful that by one's service attitude, everything is revealed. So, on one hand, the yogis and jnanis, They cannot practice knowledge and renunciation without bhakti. But on other hand, for bhaktas, they don't have to artificially practice knowledge and renunciation, but they can practice as part of bhakti. Bhakti itself produces knowledge and renunciation. When we talk about this aspect, it should be understood nicely. Sometimes devotees don't understand this point. What does it mean that bhakti produces knowledge and renunciation? Uh, so it's not that bhakti produces knowledge and renunciation means we don't have to study scriptures, we don't have to study anything, and we just do bhakti, and then knowledge and renunciation will come. See, if we don't do Shravanam, if we don't do scripture study, then what do we mean by just doing bhakti? What is that just doing bhakti without the limbs of Shravanam or without the limbs of Pathanam, without the limbs of Kirtanam, not like that. So the Shravanam, Kirtanam, all these aspects, they are part of bhakti. So when we say bhakti doesn't need a knowledge and renunciation to be separately practiced, that means that bhakti doesn't need those practices of jnanis and yogis, the practices of jnana and yoga that they do. Like the jnanis, they study these portions of Vedanta which study about the oneness aspect, or they have this process of neti, analyzing everything, whether this is matter, whether this is spirit, what is the nature of things, all that. So we don't have to practice jnana like that. It doesn't mean that we don't have to study Bhagavatam. It doesn't mean we don't have to even study Bhagavad Gita. That will be a very wrong understanding of this aspect. What it means is we don't have to extraneously practice knowledge and renunciation like the way Gyanis and Yogis do. Uh, Similarly, renunciation, we don't have to extraneously practice like they do practice of renunciation where they will do this Panchagni Tapa. Uh, in the summers, great summer heat, they will light a fire on four sides and on the top there is sun. So four Agnis plus one sun on the top, Panchagni. So Panchagni Tapa. All this for the purpose of what? To realize I am not the body, I am spirit soul. They want to transcend this feeling because body is put to such a torture where, and then you want to meditate on I am Brahman. You want to transcend this aspect that actually I am not body only. So they harden their body to such extreme austerities that practically one gives up worrying about the body only. Uh, one becomes sort of oblivious to the needs of the body. To a certain extent, it's not that you can completely become oblivious. So this sort of practice of renunciation is not appreciated in bhakti. But if we take this to mean we don't want to follow Ekadashi also, that would be a bogus application. We don't want to follow fastings also. We don't want to fast for Ekadashi. We don't want to fast for Acharya appearance, disappearance days, or we don't want to take up other austerities of bhakti like getting up early in the morning or whatever, even internal austerities for that matter. But even physically, there are certain aspects of bhakti, they have to be done. Of course, unless until somebody is sick, has a sickly body, that's a different story. But we are talking about the aspect of renunciation that's there within the process of bhakti, the aspect of knowledge that's there within the process of bhakti. Sometimes some devotees have very naive kind of understanding where they feel like if I just chant or if I just serve, everything will come. All knowledge will be revealed. That's not how the process of bhakti is explained anywhere. Uh, the process of bhakti is you have to have also the aspects of Shravanam. One has to be a very serious practice this limb of Shravanam very seriously, very systematically from the lotus feet of Guru, uh, that way. So otherwise one will continue to have misconceptions, right? Uh, One will continue to have misconceptions. Even when we do surveys, if we have not heard properly, then our attitude while doing service also may be a completely wrong attitude. So that's why knowledge is never ever discouraged on the path of bhakti. What is discouraged is the knowledge practices of jnana process. The knowledge practices of yoga or jnana process, that is what is very much discouraged. The bhakti knowledge, the bhajaniya tattva sambandhi knowledge, that is extremely encouraged on the path of bhakti. It is considered to be mandatory. You read the explanation of Anyabhilashita Shunyam. Bhajaniya tattva sambandhi jnanam tu avashya apekshnayatvat. That is what Jiva Goswami has written. जहां तक बात है भजनीय तत्व का ज्ञान, वो तो उसको तो अवश्य चाहिए ही चाहिए। वो अगर उसको वो पता नहीं है तो उसकी भक्ति में प्रगति मुश्किल हो जाएगी, because he does not understand those principles properly. So if we have misconceptions in the path of bhakti and we continue to render service or we continue to render practice of bhakti, we will make some advancement, but it's not that we'll make great advancement, because the misconceptions are there, because the contamination is there. So it's not that knowledge is there, so the contamination will go away. But if knowledge is not there, then the contamination may not be even known. Forget about going it away this way. So what I'm trying to say over here is the spiritual knowledge and renunciation within the bhakti, that aspect has to be understood, and one should be enthusiastic to take up those aspects also. That's the process of bhakti. We cannot do away with the Shravanam aspect in bhakti. That Shravanam also has so many qualifiers. It should be with Shraddha. It should be also systematic, very attentive, right? In the Bhagavatam verse, Atra Kritibhi Shushrushu Tatkshanat. What is Shushrushu actually? One who is desirous of hearing. So in that there is attention, there is submission. So many things are mentioned. So Shravanam itself is quite a formidable anga of bhakti. It is not just some sort of hearing that we do and then focus on energy on just running around trying to do something. No, it's also a very important limb of bhakti where one tries to attentively understand things, submissively understand the attitude, and then also put it in practice this way. So there is jnana of bhakti, there is vairagya of bhakti, and that is very, very highly encouraged this way. So then the bhakti path becomes a very Shiva pantha. It is a very auspicious path this way. So especially being very eager for understanding the subtleties of bhakti, that's a characteristic of sadhana bhakti actually. That's how it is. So if we become apathetic to understand the subtleties of bhakti, understand and of course practice it also, not just intellectual knowledge, but the practice aspect also, then we see that the misconceptions will stay or those contaminations will stay. And on the path of bhakti, then we see that the depth will not come. One will remain a superficial sort of practitioner of bhakti in terms of understanding also and in terms of practice also this way. So that's why bhakti is a Shiva pantha. It's the very auspicious path actually. Prabhupada, taking his usual stand of exclusive glorification of bhakti, here he is not giving any scope for paths of Brahman realization and Paramatma realization. He says that realization of Brahma Jyoti effulgence is not even Brahma Siddhi. It is not even perfection. So we do understand if you compare with bhakti, then it is not perfection, certainly. If you compare from bhakti standard, the bhakti's standard is so high, so then even Paramatma realization is incomplete, right? So what to speak of Brahman realization? So from that angle, Prabhupada says merging into Brahmajyoti effulgence or like that is not even Brahma Siddhi. It is not perfection. But Brahma Siddhi through devotional service, that's actually the realization. So that's the highest realization, no doubt about it, this way. So the Brahman realization and Paramatma, they are considered to be the incomplete sort of realization. Incomplete in the sense of comparison to bhakti, I mean to say. They are not considered incomplete because they are considered also nishreyasa, both the realizations. But yes, understanding the mood of Acharya, we know that he always sees everything in comparison with bhakti. And then we see that in comparison with bhakti, these paths, they are not giving that fullness of the Supreme Lord's realization. So that's the meaning of these texts over here. So in this way, Kapila Muni, he began with the process of Nishreyasa yoga, which is Adhyatmic yoga, threefold yoga. Then he spoke about how this yoga is authentic. He spoke about these even before to the sages. This is traditional knowledge. Then he gave the basic premise of yoga of mana being the cause of bondage or liberation. Then he spoke about how that perfection is achieved by jnana, vairagya, and also bhakti process. And finally, he exclusively glorified bhakti because without bhakti, the other processes become useless, while bhakti, without those other processes, can still give perfection of any path plus its own perfection also. So that's how he has glorified bhakti. Okay. Hare Krishna. Are there any questions on what we discussed? Yes. Anyone has any question on what we discussed? Pandurang Sharan,
Yes.
bro.
So, ji, just wanted to get more clarity and confirmation of, you can explain the soul identifying false ego, then chitta, buddhi, and mana, the different specific differences in those three. Although all both are everything is a subtle body, but what is specific functional differences? If you can just highlight shortly.
Yeah, this is Antakaran, the four parts of Antakaran. So now, like when we talk about gross body or the limbs, right? So we can show in our body, this is my hand, this is my finger, this is my ear, or like that. So, but if we want to show the subtle body within our system, how can we show the subtle body? Especially where is the mind? Where is the intelligence? One may say here is the intelligence, but that's not where the intelligence is, right? It's actually the whole subtle body is one factor. Antakaran is just one factor. It has these functionalities that take up these aspects. So we can sometimes we may just for simplicity show mind, intelligence, ego, or like that as three layers within the body or like that. But it's actually one thing. Uh, so functionality within that is the mind has this aspect of, you know, sankalpa vikalpa. Uh, I want this. This is good. This is not good. I like this. I don't like that. So this sort of, you know, being desirous of material objects and being repelled by material objects, uh, without too much analysis of, okay, whether this thing is good for me or it is bad for me. Can I afford it? Can I not afford it? So this instantaneous desirous, this nature is of mind. Uh, when it goes into a more rational explanation, but do I have money to get this thing? So if I don't have money, what will I do? Should I steal this thing? If I steal, what will be the problem? So how to steal it? Now, what has done is the more rational explanation there has come of the intelligence. This is intelligence, this particular aspect. What about the ego? Uh, what is this ahankar? So See, ahankar is more static factor, especially when we become conditioned souls. Then ahankar is that original avidya, uh, which has actually caused the tying of material body with the spirit soul. uh. So you can say that original ignorance, avidya, that manifests in our system as ahankar. Uh, there is this, you can say, a complete ignorance of what is actually our real identity. So that forms a sort of a static platform on which these dynamisms of mind intelligence are happening, the gross bodies interactions are happening. But that binding factor is there, one constant binding factor. So that's why bhakti process attacks on that avidya aspect only. Uh, that let's attack on that avidya factor. Let's break it, but it is not that easy to break. It achieved as soon as avidya is broken, then one becomes jivan mukta. That's the jivan mukta stage, uh, where there is that ignorance is only destroyed, and one suddenly becomes completely realized soul without any darkness. So you can take that ahankara factor as that binding factor. It's a constant platform on which these dynamisms are happening. And then the last one is consciousness, the chitta, where basically consciousness or chitta is what? It is contaminated consciousness. Consciousness may appear to be a transcendental thing, no? It is transcendental. If you take soul, the soul has consciousness, right? So soul is a transcendental thing. So how can consciousness be material? Why should it be treated as the part of antakaran, which is actually a subtle body? It is not transcendental. So that's why this consciousness is different actually. So what is this consciousness? This basically means the consciousness which is reflected and which is trapped within the material sense objects. Like I can give example, Prabhupada gives example actually, that you have a bulb or a source of light. So if that source of light is unhampered, uh, unrestricted by anything, it can give a very white light. But as soon as you put the some yellow cover on it, yellow gelatin paper or something, so then the light that is coming now is yellow. Uh, so although it was supposed to be white light, now it has become yellow light. So that yellow light is actually the contaminated consciousness. Uh, it's the consciousness which is perceiving only the matter and the material ideas and all that. Why? Because it got covered, the soul got covered in this uh, covering of gross body and subtle body. So then the consciousness cannot think only about something transcendental or like that. It can only see, perceive, and think about material objects and material ideas and all that. So that's considered chitta actually. So that consciousness is, you can say, it is basically this, it's a permeation of uh, perception. So it is also like a factor which is more broad. Within that perception, I like this, I don't like this. This is a mind's functionality. And then if I like something or I don't like something, a rational explanation, that is the buddhi aspect. So what I wanted to say was, yeah, so what happens in conditioned state is all these four factors are actually material. Buddhi is also material. So it may happen that because the buddhi is lusty, uh, so the buddhi justifies the demands of the mind. That's what is a conditioned life, isn't it? So that's why Krishna also says in Bhagavad Gita that this lust is sitting in everywhere. It is sitting at the level of mind. It is sitting at the level of buddhi, ahankar, chitta, everywhere. So we have to uh, destroy the original ignorance, engage the mind in transcendental subject matter, And then that's way there is Shuddhi is to be done of all four components of subtle bodies have to be purified. Then there is complete purification. So that's the point.
Yes, Guruji. Guruji, so this after the false consciousness is accepted, then these things are given to the soul, or how it,
What things, bro?
like the mind, ego,
Yeah,
intelligence, or
yeah.
is it that it was before and then it gets contaminated?
No, no, Prabhu. This see how this setup was received by soul. On that, there is some difference of opinion. So whether this setup was always there with us, or whether this setup was given at a particular point of time, on that there is a lot of debate on that topic. Classic debate on when did the jiva's bondage begin? Was it always there, or did it begin at a certain point of time? So one party says that it was always there, anadi avidya, beginningless ignorance. So in that case, you can't even ask that question, that when was the mind and intelligence and all that was given to the jiva. Uh, It, they will say that it was always there. It was always like that only. So one cannot ask when did it happen. So this is one. In the explanation that Prabhupada gives, Prabhupada explains always in the matter that it was a conscious choice of the jiva. uh, and it makes also sense. It just doesn't make sense that how that conscious choice is coming in the spiritual world. So you don't get, I mean, none of you should get bewildered with these ideas, because these ideas always go around. So don't worry. We follow whatever is Prabhupada's opinion. We go with that. So, but I'm telling you that there are opinions on that, and like fierce difference of opinion on that. So in either case, one thing is sure, that the bondage is there. So as soon as the jiva desires this sort of independent enjoyment, then we see that for that jiva, this whole apparatus is aborted. Uh, Otherwise, jiva has nothing to do with that this way. So this is how Prabhupada explains things. That jiva's free desire was, I mean, free will was there, and then when he misutilizes, then the whole apparatus, he gets covered into this subtle body and gross body and all that. So yes, Prabhu, this is not the original in the original system of the constitution. It is all external. It is all external to the jiva. It's not that in spiritual world there is mind and intelligence and false ego, chitta. There is nothing like that. Uh, The functionalities are there, but you never speak about the mind in the spiritual world. Shastras never speak such words for the spiritual body. Ki in the spiritual body, this came in his mind, and then his buddhi said, like, these are all functionalities only spoken in the material world. So we know that in spiritual world there is spiritual body. So there, this thought can be there, but the aspect of splitting it into these functionalities, Shastras never do it for spiritual body. Spiritual body is just that one uniform body in which it's all, even the soul and spiritual body is not, you can say, differentiated. सोल में और स्पिरिचुअल बॉडी में भी डिफरेंशिएशन नहीं होता, फिर आगे तो छोड़ दो, माइंड वगैरह वगैरह वगैरह, नो क्वेश्चन ऑफ दैट सॉर्ट. So you talk about these functionalities only in the material world. You may use some words like true ego and true mind. That's okay. That is because you are looking at those functionalities in the material world that way. So that's why we may say that, okay, there is true ego. But what is that true ego? That is basically one is identifying himself as servant of Krishna. That's it. That's the only identity that is there. And in that spiritual body, how do the dynamics happen? It's not so much spoken in Shastra. We hear about Antakaran only for the material world, material body. We never hear about Antakaran in the spiritual world in this way. Although we do understand that it's a conscious body, so the functionalities will be there, no doubt. But yes, you have to understand that what Shastra speaks, we should also speak in the same manner and not concoct the terms that way.
Yes, Prabhuji. I particularly wanted to understand that only purified mind, purified intelligence. Now you
Yeah,
explained
yeah,
that,
that's
right?
okay. Yes,
Yeah.
you can apply that to Jivan Mukta here in the material world.
Okay, okay. In this
Yeah,
context, when
in this
explaining from
context.
this side, it makes sense. But when spiritual side, it doesn't make sense. No? Everything is spiritual, absolute.
Absolutely spiritual.
Thank
Yes,
you,
bro.
Prabhu. Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Yes. Yes, Vilas Vardhan, bro.
Yes, Prasad. Prajit, this just wanted to understand this. Like we see in the presentation of the acharyas or explanation given by the acharyas of the shastras. So in the beginning, like even in the Bhagavad Gita, we can see that Baldev Vidyabhushan takes a little kind of a neutral stand for the general shlokas, and whatever is there, he gives. Vishwanath Chodagur takes for bhakti glorifying even the shlokas which may be apparently more of a nishkama or that kind of also has taken. And gradually Srila Prabhupada makes it very focused and just bhakti everywhere. And, in fact, why I'm asking this because this aspiration of Brahma Sayuji or whatever, which is there by the other paths, is thoroughly condemned by Prabhupada in general way. Even Mayavad also Prabhupada says, the Brahmavadis also sometimes. So, but I wanted to just understand this mood is being coming and as is shows the great love for bhakti and clarity in preaching, and because we see even Sridhar Swami is I heard that he's coming in Shankara Sampradaya, and in his commentary also I think the things about the Gyan and all has been neutrally presented. So just if you can just make a sense of everything, it will be helpful.
Yes, Prabhu. See, one thing is the mood of the Acharya. So when we see at the text of the Shastra, no, so one is that there is some textual meaning of the Shastra. And then secondly, we see that the purports or the commentaries may carry the mood of the Acharya, the bhava. So then we see that sometimes the words like bhavarth are used. What is the bhava in this particular text? Bhavartha Deepika. Sridhar Swami's commentary is also known that way. So when we study Shastras, there are different purposes when we are studying. See, one way of studying Shastra is where we understand that what can we learn from this for the preaching. So there is some Deshkal Patratva that is becoming a major factor for you to look at that text. That, okay, taking from this text, I have some desire or like I have some responsibility of preaching the truth. So how can I use this text for the sake of preaching that way? So sometimes what happens is the textual meaning, it will have its own stand over there. And then the preaching based on that text may not be so much possible because in preaching we want to give a particular kind of inspiration. Like as preachers of bhakti, we want to inspire people for bhakti, not for jnana or yoga, isn't it? This way. So in such cases, what acharyas do, especially what Prabhupada does is, in purport, he will give the uh, give the bhava, give his understanding in the sense that how this particular text is not so much relevant, and that's why what should be practiced is bhakti in that particular manner. So he is speaking it in a more for the purpose of preaching over there than the purpose of what actually that text stands for or what actually that text means over there. So when we are doing a systematic study of Shastra, where we want to understand the flow of the text and what does the original message stand for typically. Uh, so in such cases, then it is very useful to understand, first of all, what is the purpose of the text? What does it stand for? And typically that kind of approach is of Sridhar Swami. Sridhar Swami explains the text very much for what it stands. Uh, he does not bring in a lot of this sort of bhava where he wants to exclusively glorify something or like that, that way. That bhava comes in later commentators. Like Vishwanath Chakravarti also has a certain thing where he wants to highlight bhakti uh, and he wants to glorify bhakti. He's also a Rasik Acharya, so he has a very novel understanding of sometimes verses. He can think very differently and bring about some very special rasa kind of meanings like that. And as far as Prabhupada is concerned, uh, overall mood of Prabhupada, uh, and this is completely with proper understanding of his text and purport and all, I can tell that Prabhupada is a person, Acharya, who is worried about the essential message of that text, and that too essential message which gives you encouragement for the bhakti. Uh, Prabhupada does not worry so much about what is the flow going on here, what does this section stand for, and what does the next section stand for. Uh, that kind of uh, that kind of approach, it's there in Prabhupada, but I'm saying that's not the thrust actually. If you read his purport, that's not the thrust. The thrust is the process of bhakti, the fundamental truths of bhakti, that one understands this bhakti and one practices, becomes a devotee. So now, because of that, whenever you see Prabhupada's purport, there is a great effort to connect that purport to some bhakti inspiration. Some technical verses are there. Prabhupada does explain the technicalities also, but he doesn't go into too much of technicality also. Uh, Now, why does he not do that? Well, he does not do that because that is not his mode. If we consider that nobody in Kali Yuga is qualified for that, that's why he is not doing that, that won't be appropriate. Because, just 300 years back, Acharyas have written books. So they have written the books only for these 300 years or what? Have they not thought about the Kali Yuga people who are going to be there in the next, whatever, next 10,000 years or like that? Uh, so they have also thought about those people and they have written the purports this way. But every acharya can have his own mood and we should appreciate that mood. We can certainly celebrate that mood also. So Prabhupada, he is an acharya where he does not get into technicalities, usually speaking. If he wants, you can see he could have written extremely analytical purport to 1.1.1, but he has kept it very simple actually. Uh, he has written a long purport, but it is very simple. If you see the way acharyas have written, mind-boggling analysis they have done of those verses. You take another example, 1 to 11, Vadanti Tat Tattva Vidas, extremely simple purport he has written. If you see the way acharyas have explained, terrific analysis of that purport they have done, very much intellectual this way. So Prabhupada understands everything. Prabhupada is the one who read from those original commentaries and he understood everything, and he just decided to take certain things from there, and he would comment in his purport that way. So it's a conscious choice that has been made by Prabhupada, uh, and it is also owing to his own mood, what he relished, what he understood as the need of today's day and time, where yeah, many people, they would, if they get the essential message of bhakti, then they would practice it, they would understand in their life, and then they would be happy in bhakti. So with that attitude, actually, Prabhupada writes most of the purports this way. And we very much appreciate this mode of our Acharya, because he is the one who is compassionate. For him, the compassion rules over everything, rules over even that textual complexity or textual integrity or whatever we want to call it this way. He wants to benefit the people. So that's why we appreciate the Prabhupada's purports when he writes in Karma Yoga. He's writing all about Bhakti Yoga in Bhagavad Gita, 3rd chapter. Practically, Krishna consistently speaks about Nishkam Karma Yoga. Prabhupada consistently speaks about Bhakti Yoga over there. So this idea of the mood of the Acharya has to be taken in and appreciated. And if the forum is of preaching, we should also replicate that mood. But if the forum is not of preaching, if it is of understanding for one's own sake, also for understanding the overall, you can say, the flow of the scriptures. So there, if we don't understand what the text stands for and all with more neutral approach, then our understanding of the scripture may remain little bit hazy. It may remain indistinct that way. So that's why in these forums such as Bhakti Shastri, Bhakti Vaibhav, we should not see the utility of these courses as only for preaching. We should see the utility for first and foremost understanding Bhakti Siddhant. And for my own benefit, now some of it also may be relevant for preaching. Let me do it. So accordingly, we can take those messages and text and we can explain it in that way. But if we base the entire presentation of Krishna consciousness on the basis of preaching, no, 200 years after, Prabhupada books also may become irrelevant, because what will happen is the people have become so dull that they don't understand anything from Prabhupada books also. So that's why tradition does understand time, place, circumstances, but it also understands the responsibility of keeping the siddhant of a certain sampradaya going on for eternity. It has to go on. That track also has to be maintained. If we only keep the Deshkal Patra, that track, then actually it will happen that, and it is happening, right, in today's day and time. So many people, they read Prabhupada books and sometimes they say, we don't understand anything, what is being said. Only when you people explain, then we understand now what is what. They may understand some essential truths, that is fine. They may understand we have to chant Hare Krishna, goal of life is love of Godhead, and Krishna is personality, and so such things. But if you have to make them understand the technicalities, it is not possible, because that's not how Prabhupada writes it. That is not how his mood is actually this way. So, see, I study commentaries, extensively from original text of Sanskrit. And many times I wonder that a certain verse had so many intellectual points, but Prabhupada has not touched any of those points. And he has given extremely simple purport. uh, so how do you appreciate that fact? Well, you appreciate that fact because you understand his mood, his compassion, his desire to benefit the people by giving something which is very, very practical and understandable. So in his mind, that audience is primary. uh, so we understand that audience is primary, and that's how he speaks like that again and again. Although he is most qualified, he understands everything very well, because if we are readers of commentaries, we can immediately capture a certain point. Oh, this is speaking from Jiva Goswami's commentary. We understood that he knows all those points very well this way. So still, it is a conscious choice. Like Bhaktisiddhanta made a conscious choice of making extremely intellectual presentation. He is just, what, 50 years before Prabhupada, right? So it's not that Kali Yuga has gone too much ahead, but he made that choice of making extremely intellectual presentation. Why? Because that was his mood, that was his mission. He thought that I have to bring back the glory of this Vaishnava knowledge and Vaishnava philosophy. People have started thinking that these are all sentimental fools. So let me show to them that what is Vaishnavism and what lofty philosophy we have. So we see that deliberately he made a presentation like that. Sometimes he writes in such sophisticated language, you cannot understand anything there this way. So when we see these different modes of Acharya, we understand that yes, there is this factor of Deshkal Patra also to that. There is this factor of Acharya's mood in a certain manner uh, this way. So all those Deshkal Patra factors are also understood. And we can also see that those Deshkal Patra factors will probably change tomorrow. Probably we have to take Prabhupada books and we have to sort of rewrite those books, make them into some sort of themes or like that, and then only people will understand. And they will not be able to even understand, because that's how Kali Yuga is. You never know the level of people, how it goes down and all that. But does that mean then that we don't have to preserve and understand the tradition? What is the tradition of bhakti? What is the Siddhanta of bhakti? What process we follow and understand the subtleties and all? No, we should do that also. But we do that in a appropriate forum, in a forum like where the Shastric study is there, in a forum which is more of the insiders, and not from the outsiders, or not for just new devotees. You want to share something for new devotees. Well, that's just a small purpose of reading Shastra, right? A very big purpose is I want to myself understand. I want to understand it in depth, and I also want to get nourished by that knowledge. So I'm speaking a lot on this factor because sometimes, yeah, not understanding these modes, then we may just sort of miss on the overall picture of the Shastra. And then it has its own effect also in terms of not feeling that satisfaction and nourishment of understanding the Siddhanta of Bhakti in a deep manner. So the Shastra, this is how it has been written. So typically speaking, a very neutral perspective is given by Sridhar Swami and Srila Jiva Goswami also. He speaks like that. He speaks for what is there. Vishwanath Chakravarti can, yeah, take up that exclusive glorification of bhakti aspect sometimes, but he is also quite, he keeps it to the Siddhantic aspects. More later acharyas, there we see that, yeah, they may sort of take the application in terms of time, place, circumstances as a very big factor. And Prabhupada takes it to the maximum extent, I will say. He takes it to very great extent. He has that idea of always, okay, is this text relevant for people? Is this text really giving the essential message of bhakti? If it is not giving, then he gives in his purport. That's what he does. So then those who are studying Shastras and they want to understand everything in scrutinizing manner, sometimes they may get little bit frustrated with that style. But you don't have to be frustrated. You have to understand and appreciate mood of Acharya. He is the most qualified Acharya, but then he still has a certain mood. And we appreciate that mood. He gives it. Sometimes, right, we see Krishna is telling about yoga or karma yoga, and directly in purport he writes that anyway, this is not practical. This is useless this way. So that's how, Prabhu. That's how. So it's good to have a balance of the Siddhant understanding for one's own nourishment and for one's own understanding, and also to share it on a little bigger forum, on forum where more serious practitioners are there. So this is one. And secondly is also to understand what can I take from the purport for the preaching aspect. So that also has to be there. Otherwise, we will just get caught up into theoretical information. So that's why it is good actually to take the same text and be able to explain it to different audience. See, if we have the Bhagavad Gita understanding, Bhagavad Gita text, if you have to speak it to devotees who have spent 25 years in bhakti, are you going to speak the same thing which you speak to some fourth year students of voice or like that? That will not make sense, right? They know probably what you're going to speak. They know better than that on that. So this is a challenge which I also get sometimes. There are devotees who are in classes of Bhakti, Vaibhav and Vedanta who have spent 25 years as a teacher of Bhagavata. So he knows that purport probably much better than me also this way. So then these deeper aspects of Siddhant and all that, I see that they become extremely nourishing and relishing for them, because now they get very great deep perspective on the things this way. So not only teachers, but even the devotees who have become, who have sort of studied already the books for quite a good extent this way. So I see when we talk about acharyas and all that, if we have this complaint that people are not reading even Prabhupada books, so then it's a valid complaint. But we are not talking for them at all. We are talking for those who are actually studying Srila Prabhupada books regularly. They have understood them very, very nicely. They have understood Acharya's mood. And now they also want to understand the text in a very systematic manner. So that would be my thoughts on this.
Like specifically, I wanted to ask regarding that liberation wala point, that
Liberation of?
merging that Brahma Sayuja and like that. So that point is condemned and others are neutral.
Yeah. Correct.
So
That
that's
point
just
is
fine.
correct. That point is condemned by Gaudiya Vaishnavas, no? You know, it is condemned by Gaudiya Vaishnavas, not so much by Shastra, because I mean, Shastra, Gaudiyas are speaking on basis of Shastra only, no doubt. But still, every sampradaya have their own mood, no? So Kaivalyam Narakayate, this aspect is especially there in the Gaudiyas very much. And for the valid reason that, okay, there is no joy of bhakti and all in that, no doubt. So that's what I'm saying. So when such moods come, no, so we should follow our sampradaya's mood, no doubt. We should follow our sampradaya's mood, our acharya's mood. Absolutely, there is no doubt about that. It's just that when we are studying Shastra, the aspect of that text, that what is the text saying, that also has to be clear. That also has to be understood. So in general, the way Kapila is explaining, if you see Sridhar Swami or you see even other commentators, Jiva Goswami, the way Kapila is explaining is more from the Vedic aspect, that, okay, these are the three paths of moksha. And he appreciates all those three paths. So then that's how the Jiva Goswami or Acharyas, they also appreciate those three paths. Now, when those context will come very specifically where comparison of bhakti with sayujya is being done, so there we can speak about our own Acharya's mode also. So it's text specific also. If some verses like that come, Aruhya Krishrena Param Padam Patanti Adha, there we can speak in that manner. The way our acharyas speak, we see that those ideas are very much in that mood. So it's fine. But where it's a more generic explanation, so we also understand that aspect in that particular way. So yes, do we condemn Sayuja or not? Yes, we condemn. But we condemn accordingly in appropriate forums in that way. In forums where Yeah, you have to especially educate people, then it has to be in that way. But if you are understanding a text by text understanding, like we do in Bhakti Vaibhav or Bhakti Shastri, it's the study of Bhagavatam, no? So the Bhagavatam's flow also has to be understood along with Acharya purports. Sometimes some people have this understanding, Bhakti Vaibhav is study of Bhakti Vedanta purports. That is a very restricted understanding. It's not study of purports, it's study of the scripture also, no? Scripture and the purports in light of that scripture. It's the study of both. It is study of Bhagavatam and it is study of the purports that Prabhupada is explaining of the Bhagavatam this way. If we disconnect Prabhupada's purport from the text, then it will become very difficult to understand the overall message of the Shastra. So that's why we don't have to do that. Prabhupada himself hasn't done it. So why should we do it this way? So it's the study of Srimad Bhagavatam along with Prabhupada purports in that way. So yes, Prabhu, there is a time and place to keep that mood of acharyas, and there is also time and place to see the overall message of Shastra. Makes sense, no?
Yes, Guruji. Thank you so much, very much.
So very deep
Grateful.
questions you are asking. Hare Krishna.
Because
All
I know
wise.
that you can answer the deep. That's why I was
All wise people from this batch. Narhari Thakur Prabhu. Okay, we'll take that and maybe pause.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhu, you are rumbling like a cloud. Megha Gambhiraya Vacha.
Hare Krishna. Guru. Uh,
You just speak like that, no, Prabhu? Not possible without mic.
Actually, they are using two mics. They are एक बंद करो और बोल एक का
Hare
साउंड
Krishna.
बंद
Guru.
करके ओम का बंद करो
Is it okay now? Possible or no? Now I can't hear only. Okay, maybe Prabhu, maybe you type or something. I can't hear you, so let it be.
Hare Krishna.
Oh, okay. Yeah, now I can hear.
Prabhuji.
Prabhu, let's leave it.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. So we are today stopping at 12:45, no? Oh, okay. So then we won't take any break. Let's go ahead. If any of you need some break, you take it and you come back immediately. But I'll continue. I wanted to complete this till text 30 at least. So we have some time. Now this section we will complete from 20 to 30. We are stopping today at 12:45, no? So that's why I think we should not take a break now. So text 20 now. Who wants to read? Abhay Govinda Prabhu, you want to read?
Yes, Guruji.
Okay, so for rest of the verses you can read now. Prasangamajaram pasham atmanah kavayo viduhu saeva sadhu shukruto mokshadvaram apavritam. Yes.
Yeah.
Just a minute, I'm taking it. Yeah.
Every learned man knows very well that attachment for the material is the greatest entanglement of the spirit soul. But that same attachment, when applied to the self-realized devotees, opens the door of liberation.
Yeah, thank you. So he has already said that there is no greater path than bhakti, right? So now, what is the moola? What is the root of that path of bhakti? So sadhu sangha is the root. Sadhu Sangha is the root, moolam. So that's the purpose because of which he brings up this section now. He has just spoken about various means of deliverance like yoga, jnana, bhakti. And he has also mentioned that bhakti is the supremely auspicious path. So what he does here is he just gives some more understanding about the process of bhakti. So you can see here, tasyaha bhaktehe sadhu sangha eva moolam. That bhakti, what is the root of that bhakti? What is the way that we receive this bhakti? The sadhu sangha is the moola. So that's why he glorifies that mool. Prasangam ajaram pasham atmanah kavayoho vidu. The attachment to the material objects, prasanga. Sangha itself is very deadly. What to speak of prasanga? Prakrishta rupena sangha. So the attachment or very strong, intense attachment to the objects of this material world is called prasanga. So that is considered to be ajaram pasham. It's a shackle which never grows old. Atmanaha kavayo viduhu. The intelligent people have said that it's a shackle which never ever grows old. The material attachment. So, but that same prasanga, that very, very strong attachment, if we do to sadhus, sayeva sadhushu kruto, if we transfer that attachment, direct that attachment for the sadhus, moksha dwaram apavritam, that will open the doors of the liberation. So, you see, the attachment in the material world may be very formidable to overcome. So, by telling that the sadhu sangha is the root of the bhakti, Kapila Muni is saying that yes, actually the best way is that we become attached to sadhu, and then that sadhu naturally will, will dictate our life, will control our life. So that prasanga, if we transfer it to sadhus, it will open the doors of liberation. So especially he's speaking about bhakti. So here moksha should not mean sayuja. Obviously, moksha would mean Salokya, Samipya, Sarshti, or such things. What to speak of Gaudiya Vaishnavas who don't even aspire for those four kinds of mokshas, right? So moksha dwaram literally here will mean then vimoksha dwaram, vimukti. For Gaudiyas, mukti means vimukti. So vimukti is vishesh mukti. It is very, very special liberation, which means going back home, back to Godhead by getting love of Godhead. So this is how Sadhu Sangh has been glorified, that the sadhus, they will open up actually the doors of liberation. So you can see that this Salokya, Vishwanath Chakravarti says, first of all, this moksha here will not refer to Sayuja because the devotees, they don't aspire for Sayuja at all. What about Salokya, Sarshti, Samipya, Sarupya? So he says, Aikantik Bhaktanam Moksho Bhaktehe Ananu Samhitam Phalam. So he says that, well, for the single-minded devotees, for the Nirguna Bhaktas, even that Salokya, Samipya and all that is also Ananu Samhitam Phalam. It is unsought result. It is not sought result. So although Moksha Dwaram has been mentioned over here, we understand that they never desire it. They never, Vaishnavas never desire it. Lord gives it anyway. So Lord gives such living beings residence in his spiritual world. Muktis like Salokya and Samipya and such muktis, Sarupya. So although it is unsought result by the Vaishnavas. So later the verse will come also, right? Diyamanam na grananti vinamat sevanam jana. Salokya, Sarshti, Samipya, Sarupya, and all that. So devotees, even if they are offered these muktis, they don't take it. So this way. So Prabhupada, attachment cannot be killed. It has simply to be transferred. Attachment for material things is called material consciousness, and attachment for Krishna is called Krishna consciousness. So many other paths, they speak about killing the attachment, making the mind free from the contamination, nirvana. But actually, what is nirvana? Nirvana, one of the meanings of nirvana is the great bliss. So you see, nirvana actually should connect one to the source of great bliss, which is basically the process of bhakti. The source of great bliss is the Supreme Lord. So that's nirvana. So that's why attachment, just trying to kill attachment, trying to kill desires, it is never possible. Right? Prabhupada would say that trying to kill desires is also a desire. So that's why, how can one destroy desire? Because destruction of desires is itself a desire. So that's why it is impossible to destroy desires. And secondly, yes, we are not stones. We are actually living beings with emotions and proper attachments and everything. So that's why any being who is conscious has to have the attachment, either negative attachment or the positive attachment. To empty the mind of complete thoughts and all, it's a very, very tough process. It's very, very difficult, and it's also not desired process. Klesho adhiktarastesham. Krishna also says it's a very, very path with fraught with difficulty, and even the destination is miserable. So that's why it's not proper. We see, Prabhupada says, in this world, if people they don't have anyone to love, they will keep cats and dogs, and they want to love those, especially in Western world. This is very common. So the propensity for attachment cannot be stopped. It must be utilized for the best purpose. So that's why best is that we transfer the attachment to the sadhus. Who is a sadhu? That, in fact, that's the next topic. Kapila will describe who is the sadhu. A sadhu is not just an ordinary man with a saffron robe or long beard. A sadhu is described in Bhagavad Gita as one who unflinchingly engages in devotional service. So Prabhupada takes that verse, sadhureva samantavya, samyak vyavasito hi saha. So sadhu, Prabhupada, by bringing that Bhagavad Gita verse, he takes only that aspect of samyak vyavasitaha. Before that, whatever this aspect of he making the mistake and all that, performing some accidental sin or like that, apichet suduracharo, that Prabhupada is not speaking here. He is taking who is a sadhu? A sadhu is the one who has unflinching faith in Krishna. Samyak vyavasito hi saha, sadhureva samantavya, samyak vyavasito hi saha. Apichet suduracharo bhajate mam ananya bhak. That ananya bhak and samyak vyavasita. Those aspects he is taking over here. Later, Kapila himself will define sadhu in the next verse. But yes, actually, sadhus are the ones who can control our attachments, they can redirect our emotions to the right channel of Krishna and Krishna's service. So life where there is no attachment to sadhu, then we see that one becomes sort of independent practitioner with one's own ideas, which are very, very much prominent in one's consciousness. So that's why at least spiritual master is that sadhu whom we should be attached. We can also be attached under spiritual masters' instructions and system, the sadhus that are guiding to us. But at least at the level of spiritual master, there should be attachment. So we love to hear from him. We love to try to practice the instructions that he speaks. We are enthusiastic about the kind of instructions he gives, and we try to follow them in our life this way. And to the degree we become more and more attached to sadhu, we will be able to transcend the material attachments this way. So even in the first canto, second chapter, also Sutta Goswami recommends that basically there he says also Sushusho Shraddhadanasya Vasudev Katha Ruchi Syan Mahat Sevaya Vipra Punyatirthana Sevana. He says easiest way to develop the taste for Krishna consciousness, the taste for Krishna Katha, Ruchi for Krishna Katha, is that one serves the sadhus. Sometimes we ask this question, no? That how to develop the taste for Krishna Katha. So directly Bhagavatam says that Shushrusho Shraddhadanasya Vasudev Katha Ruchi Syat. तो अगर महत सेवा करेंगे, with their blessings, one will become attached to the Krishna Katha. One will start developing the taste for hearing Krishna Katha, because that's what a sadhu relishes. So sadhu will also bless us with that relish this way. If we want to associate with a sadhu, we cannot expect him to give us instructions on how to improve our material conditions. So sometimes the sadhu, he may be not so much talking or speaking to us about material needs and all those aspects. Even in our practice of bhakti, right, in ashram or in the larger context of ISKCON society, we see that the devotees, seniors, they may be primarily engaged in uplifting us spiritually. Material aspects also they are concerned, but point is, yeah, we will take care of it. But the aspect of spiritual instruction, spiritual inspiration, spiritual guidance, that should be very, very prominent. That should be very main feature of an association with a sadhu this way. So wherever there is opportunity to take association of advanced sadhus, what to speak of opportunities to serve them personally or sort of get some instructions. So we are eager to get the association of sadhus in that manner, this way. So who are the sadhus that is spoken in the next part? Titikshava karunika surada sarvadehinam ajata shatrava shanta sadhava sadhu bhushanaha. Yes.
The symptoms of a sadhu are that he is tolerant, merciful, and friendly to all living entities. He has no enemies. He is peaceful. He abides by the scriptures, and all his characteristics are sublime.
Yeah. Thank you. So these are the sadhus. How to recognize sadhus? So these are the tatastha lakshanas of sadhus. These are still secondary qualities. The primary qualities will come in the next three verses, 22, 23, 24. So Vishwanath Chakravarti says these are tatastha lakshanas of the sadhus. You can see. Tatastha lakshanamaha. So what does it mean? What it means is, for a sadhu, primary lakshan is actually his intense absorption in Krishna consciousness. That will be spoken in next three verses. Because these sort of qualities can be found in even sometimes jnanis. They can be found even in yogis. It's possible. But the next quality, which is talking about sadhus of bhakti process, 22 is talking about it, 23, 24, they are talking about it this way. So that's why these become the tatastha lakshanas, because we are talking about the process of bhakti over here. So the sadhus in bhakti, it's not that they are devoid of these tatastha lakshanas, but still sometimes some of these qualities may or may not be seen in a certain context or in a certain circumstance. That is called the Tatastha Lakshan. It may be seen or it may not be seen. But the Swarup Lakshan will always be seen this way. So, Titikshavaha, the sadhus, they are very much tolerant, forbearing. Tolerance is the first characteristic it is spoken. Karunika, they are very, very merciful. Suradaha Sarvadehinam, they are the friends of all the living entities. Ajata Shatravaha, they don't have any enemies to them. Shantaha, the sadhus are very peaceful. They are anugra, they are not ugra. You understand? Ugra, someone who is very ferocious or very vehement. The sadhus are peaceful. Sadhavaha, Sridhar Swami translates sadhava as shastranuvartinaha, abiding by scriptures. So Prabhupada is translated on the basis of Sridhar Swami's commentary. Vishwanath Chakravarti says sadhus are saralas. Sarala. Sadhu means simple. So this we hear, right? Simplicity is the first qualification of a devotee. So why is that? Because that's the meaning of the word sadhu. साधु शब्द का अर्थ ही होता है कि one is very simple and straightforward. One need not be blunt. One should not be blunt or one should not be very harsh. But the point is, अंदर बाहर ऐसा कुछ होता नहीं साधु का. One is very straightforward in that sense. One does not have too many agendas or too much of cynical sort of attitude. No. One is very simple and straightforward, sadhu. And finally, sadhu bhushana, the word has come. So sadhus are those whose only bhushana, whose only ornament is the other sadhus. Very beautiful definition you can see. What is sadhu bhushana? अन्य साधु ही जिसके लिए भूषण है, that person is called sadhu. So he considers the other sadhus as wealth in his life. He doesn't consider other sadhus as some rogues or some people who are around me just because they have to be around me, or they are just here because they don't have any choice. So he considers sadhus around as the ornaments, as his true wealth. So such a person is called sadhu. That is sadhu bhushana. Another meaning of sadhu bhushana is sadhun bhushayati, one who gives a great respect to other sadhus. That is a sadhu. One is a sadhu, so although he himself is a sadhu, one also gives respect to the other sadhus. Manada. So that person is considered a sadhu. Sadhu bhushana is actually a qualifier for the word sadhu over here. All these words, sadhu is the noun here. And these all other words are what? They are the adjectives. They are the qualifiers. In this way, the verse has been spoken actually. So sadhu bhushana basically means those who are, those who offers respect to other sadhus, or the sadhus means those who, sadhu bhushana means those who accept the other sadhus as their bhushana. This way, like that. And Sridhar Swami gives another third meaning of this word sadhu bhushana, where he says that sadhu sushilam tadaiva bhushanam yesham. Or basically, what is a sadhu bhushana? The good character is his bhushana. वो जो सुशीलता है वही उसका भूषण है, उसको बोलते हैं साधु भूषण और साधु. साधु का ये गुण होना चाहिए that he has that sushila, that great character as his only ornament. So three meanings I spoke about based on commentaries about the word sadhu bhushana. Three meanings. One is that one who considers other sadhus as his ornament. That's the only wealth or ornament that he has. He doesn't take pride in material wealth or material accomplishments, but he takes he considers his true wealth the other sadhus that he has good relationship with. So this is one. Another meaning of sadhu bhushana is that he offers respect to other sadhus. Sadhun bhushayati manayati, मान देते हैं, सम्मान प्रदान करते हैं अन्य साधुओं को. खुद साधु होते हुए भी अन्य साधुओं को जो प्रदान करते हैं, मान प्रदान करते हैं, that is the sadhu bhushana. And finally the third meaning is also that sadhu bhushana means जिनके लिए सुशीलता ही सबसे बड़ा भूषण है. The internal external character that one has, that he considers as his greatest wealth rather than anything else. So such a person is also considered to be sadhu bhushana. In this way it is spoken over here. So Prabhupada in purport he speaks about some of these ideas. He says a sadhu is a devotee of the Lord and his concern is to enlighten people in devotional service. So that is his mercy. Karunika, sadhu ki karunta kya hai? So he says the merciful nature of sadhu means he shares the Krishna consciousness. And while sharing this Krishna consciousness, a lot of opposing elements will come, right? While engaged in preaching work, while engaged in preaching work, so many opposing elements will come. So he tolerates those opposing elements. That's called tolerance, titiksha. So you can see very nicely Prabhupada is explaining. Karunika, this aspect is there because he wants to share the knowledge of Krishna consciousness. And while sharing knowledge of Krishna consciousness, so many difficulties will come. So that's why he remains tolerant in that. In fact, he goes on because Surida Sarvadehinam, because he is the friend of all living entities. So no matter the difficulties are there, he is the well-wisher. He continues to do his duty of sharing Krishna consciousness with people this way. The sadhu has the thankless task of impressing upon the importance of devotional service. He gives example of Jesus Christ, who was crucified, Haridas Thakur, who was beaten terribly in 22 marketplaces. Even Nityanand was attacked, right? Lord Nityanand Prabhu was attacked. So they have shown a great tolerance. In fact, Prabhupada says he is merciful because he is the well-wisher of all living entities. So because he is well-wisher, so he wants to show compassion. And in showing that compassion, there will be difficulties. So he shows the tolerance also. This way, right? So root quality is this aspect of Suradam Sarvadehinam. He wishes well for all the living entities. He has affection for all the living entities. This way. He's not only a well-wisher of human society, but a well-wisher of animal society also. Sarvadehinam. Like Shivanand Sen, he took care of that dog also. This way. Yet, although a sadhu is not inimical towards anyone, the world is so ungrateful that even a sadhu has many enemies, right? Ajata Shatravaha. Sadhu does not consider anyone as Shatru, but others considered sadhu as Shatru, right? This was how even Yudhishthir was there. The name Ajata Shatru, there are two meanings to this name. You are aware? One meaning is that Ajata Shatru means for the one whose enemy is not born, meaning there is no enemy to such a person. अजात शत्रु, जिसका कोई दुश्मन जो है पैदा ही नहीं हुआ. Basically the person is free from all enmity. He does not have any enemies. But another meaning of Ajata Shatru, Mahabharata explains, is Ajata. Ajata is one of the names of Duryodhana. So Ajata Shatru means Duryodhan was his Shatru. Why is Duryodhan named as Ajata? Because Duryodhan was not born in a regular fashion, no? You know that Duryodhan and all these Kauravas, they were in the womb of Gandhari. And then before Gandhari, Mother Kunti gave birth to her children, to Yudhishthir. So then Gandhari became so upset because she wanted to be mother of the first child in that dynasty. But then what happened was, because Yudhishthir was born before, so she started out of anger. She became very angry and she hit her womb. So the actually embryo that fell off, and practically it was like, yeah, it's a miscarriage. So then Vyasa Muni, he split that fetus, and then that fetus was split into 100 parts, and then by his mantra vidya, he brought them to life. So that's why Dushasana or Duryodhana, they are called as Ajata, because they are not born in the regular fashion like any other living being in this world. So Ajata Shatru means one who has Duryodhana as his enemy or Dushasana as his enemy. That's also meaning. So Ajat Shatru shows this sense that although devotee may not consider anyone enemy, but that person may consider enemy. So it is from the other person's side, this way. So that's why Prabhupada is saying this aspect. Finally, a sadhu is calm, shanta, and he quietly and peacefully follows the principles of scripture. So you see this kama, this aspect, anugrah, Vishwanath Chakravarti says that the sadhu is shanta, which means he is not ugra. Sadhu is very peaceful. And he quietly and peacefully follows the principle of scripture. Shastranuvartina. A sadhu means one who follows the principles of scripture and at the same time he is a devotee of the Lord. One who follows the scriptures must be a devotee of the Lord. This way. So these are the definitions of the words like sadhu and shanta and all that. So especially the word sadhu, two meanings are very prominent. Sadhu is the one who is straightforward, sarala, saralta. And second meaning of sadhu is shastranu one who abides by the scripture. He has the knowledge of scriptures and he also abides by the scriptures. This way. Sometimes that saralta of sadhu is also spoken in terms of the cutting approach. So Prabhupada would also say sadhu is one who cuts. He cuts in the sense that he cuts attachment by his unequivocal words, by his words which are devoid of any duplicity. So again, it is going to that aspect of saralata, very straightforward kind of nature of the sadhu. And then the Swarup Lakshanas are spoken. So those were the Tatastha Lakshanas, and here are the now Swarup Lakshanas. Mayyananyena bhavena bhaktim kurvanti ye dridham matkrate tyakta karmanas tyakta swajana bandhavaha. Yes, bro.
Such a sadhu engages in staunch devotional service to the Lord without deviation. For the sake of the Lord, he renounces all other connections, such as family relationships and friendly acquaintances within the world.
Yeah. So this is the Swarup Lakshana now, you see. Mayyananyena bhavena. Mayi ananyena bhavena. So the sadhu has ananya bhav towards me. And thus he performs the bhakti which is dridha bhakti, dridham. bhakti which is steadfast. Mat krite tyakta karmanaha. In fact, for my sake, such a sadhu, he gives up all the karma, everything. He can give up all varnashrama duties, anything. Tyakta swajana bandhava. He abandons even the so-called relatives or well-wishers and all that. For my sake, he can abandon varnashrama, he can abandon even his relatives and everything. He can abandon the paths like sakam or nishkam karma. Basically, for my sake, he is ready to abandon everything, give up everything. And he has ananya bhava towards me. So Vishwanath Chakravarti says, Ananya Bhava means what? He says that Aham iva aradhyo Brahma Rudradi Vishayo na vidyate. So he considers that Lord is my object of worship. He does not even consider Brahma or Rudra or Devatas or anyone to be the object of that worship. One may respect all these living entities like demigods, or one may respect personalities like Shiva and Brahma also. But the bhava that he has uh, towards Krishna, that is ananya, that he does not have towards anyone this way. So it is showing his exclusive shelter of Krishna, ekamatra vishayatvad, this way. So we see that कृष्ण ही उसके एकमात्र विषय है, and that to a specific form of the Lord. In that also, typically the devotees, they have attachment for one particular form of the Lord. So that is ananya bhava. He does not mix even the process of jnana or karma. That is also ananya bhava. He does not mix that process of jnana, karma, anything in the bhakti process this way. So we say that such a person is ready to give up all karma and everything for the sake of devotees, for the sake of bhakti process. So that shows the aspect of sarva dharman parityajya, like that. So for a devotee, basically the Guru's instruction, the Vaishnava's instruction, that is what becomes the most important thing. If the Gurus tell him to act as a Brahmana, he will act as a Brahmana. If the Guru asks him to act as a Vaishya, he will act as a Vaishya. So this Varnashrama identification, this is the path of Nishkam Karma Yoga actually, or Sakam Karma. In Bhakti process, there is no identification with Varnashram. One can still continue to act in Varna and Ashram, but the identification is not there. The identification is Naham Vipro, Nachanarapati, Napi Vaisho, Na Shudro, Naham Varni, Nacha Grahapati, No Vanastho Yatirva, Kintu Prodyan Nikhil Paramananda Purnamritabdhe, Gopi Bhartu Huk Pada Kamalayor Das Das Dasanudasa. So we see that this is the point actually. The devotee, his identification is actually based on the process of bhakti. It is not varnashrama kind of identification that is prevalent in paths like Nishkam Karma Yoga and also in paths like Karma Kand, this way. A sannyasi is generally in the renounced order of life, but his renunciation will be successful only when his energy is employed in the service of the Lord with great austerity. Bhaktim kurvanti ye dridham. So this is the sadhu. He seriously engages in the service of the Lord. It's a very determined devotion, greatly determined devotion, this way. As soon as a sadhu takes his birth in the world, as soon as he takes birth in the world, a person has so many responsibilities and obligations. But a sadhu is ready to give up all such obligation for the service of the Lord. So this aspect of Matkrite tyakta karmanaha, tyakta swajana bandhav. So bhakti has that nature of, as soon as the shraddha for nirguna bhakti is generated, then one can give up the varnashrama duties. It is possible. Like we see even in ashram, after, I mean, if somebody is being inspired for brahmachari ashram, so actually that is giving up the duty only, no? It is giving up the duty of varna and ashrama. But then it is all under the power of the process of nirguna bhakti. So this is the nature of bhakti process, where even at the sadhana level, one is ready to give up all karma or other paths and just accept Krishna's surrender unto Krishna this way. So that's how we see that this aspect is glorified. Okay, I think we should stop here because some of you are naturally, all of us, in fact, want to go and offer the Pushpanjali to Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So I think we will pause here. 2 more verses discuss the Swarup Lakshanas, and then the next discussion comes on what is bhakti, what is the appropriate form of devotion. So looks like probably I will take 2 more hours for this chapter, about 2.5 hours. So on Monday we will start the next chapter, 29, and then we have again on Tuesday also some full session for that 29th. Okay. Grantraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So let us pause here for today. We'll continue on Monday. If there are any questions on this section, that also we can take on Monday. Okay, thank you. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
So Monday and Tuesday we will have class. Okay. It was in this little bit, but because otherwise this chapter flow will break if we postpone this. I know some devotees may not be available, so they can hear the recording later. We'll have the class on Monday and Tuesday.
विलास मदन
Hare
तो
Krishna. हाँ,
टाइमिंग्स क्या रहेंगे
टाइमिंग नेचुरल जो अपना है अभी का भाई
नेचुरल वाला